the Tom Collins is the base of all the Collins drinks. There's a lot of different variations of Collins. Tom is gin. We have it listed in your book what each different name would correspond to. But for the most part, 90% of any Collins drink you're going to make will be a Tom Collins. You know, that's really the mother of all the Collins drinks, the one that you really want to learn. And then all the other drinks which you'll be tested on will just be different variations of them, so it's very good to know. So with this drink, it has...
So I guess it's the same recipe?
I'm sorry?
It's the same recipe as this?
It is... No. It's... this drink is going to be a little bit different from the recipe that we went with the mother recipe, similar to the Mai Tai. This also is going to have 2 ounces of mixers because this is a drink that you want to be able to taste the gin. The gin's supposed to come out in a true Tom Collins. It's not supposed to taste like a lemonade, even though some customers, it might be what they want. That's really not what it's supposed to convey. So with this drink, you're going to have your 2 ounces of spirit. So in this calls for 2 ounces of gin. So again,
Tell them which one you're using.
So we're using Tanqueray, which is a London gin, which tends to be a little bit on the drier side.
Perfect.
And you're going to pour it in your jigger directly over the glass so you don't spill anything. 2 ounces.
The second line is 2.
Yeah, I know, I just realized
Okay.
that. Old habits.
I would do one with this one too, it's like 1.5 and a half.
Okay.
So they
And
get
this
used to it.
is 3 1/4 and
Yeah. And
1 1/4.
Yeah. And then
You always
say,
put the bottle away after you use it. Next, this calls for 1 ounce of lemon juice. This, again, you want fresh lemon juice because Roses does not make a lemon juice. They only make a lime and a grenadine and a triple sec. So again, we're going to pour to the 1 ounce line here. And if you ever pour over the amount, just pour a little down your drain because you always want to make sure your drink is made properly. You know, if you make a little mistake like that, it's fixable. Once you pour it in the drink, it's not fixable unless you make a brand new drink, and we don't really want to do that. Your bosses aren't going to want you to do that. But if it means making the right drink, you have to do that.
And if you use a little bit too much alcohol, it's not the end of the world. But when it comes to citrus, if you use a little bit too much, boom, it's
Yeah.
like
A little bit goes a long
nuclear
way.
bomb.
And do we have simple syrup?
Just use the roses.
cream.
That's cream. We don't want to do that.
let's just use water for that
Yeah,
purpose.
just use like the vodka bottle.
Okay. So this calls for a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup.
That doesn't work.
Oh. I thought you said use the gun.
We
I said use the vodka
I
bottle.
thought we were
Oh, use the
connected,
vodka bottle?
connected to,
you told us to have a soda gun for show, but you don't want them to get used to using the soda gun because if there's one small difference in the bar, they'll make like 20 drinks wrong before they get the hang of it.
Yeah. So we're going to put a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup in here. Again, I poured a little over the
then
line.
explain the simple syrup. I don't think we really explained it. So anything you do, just explain. So
Okay.
what is simple syrup?
I mentioned simple syrup way back, but I didn't really get into what it is. It's equal parts sugar and water, and you can make it. The reason why it's called simple syrup is because it's simple to make. You put 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water. You could either use a hot method, which is putting it in a pan and cooking it until all the sugar is dissolved. Just stir it until there's no more sugar, and then refrigerate it. Or the cold method, you just shake it. Typically, the hot method will make a thicker simple syrup. The cold method will make a thinner simple syrup, but both will have the same amount of sugar in the drink.
Now, what page in the book we have simple syrup?
It's in ingredients.
So
It
you
actually-
can
it
tell,
comes
look
up
at
in,
your
like,
ingredient
4 different
section, you're going to
places.
see it out there, and then you can look at
And I
it.
could skip
And
Yeah.
we have a
that.
section also in the advanced where we talk about making different kinds of simple syrups.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, you always want to connect them to the book. You know, read that section and then read this section.
Okay. And again, I poured a little over the line, so I want to just pour a little bit out, just so that we don't ruin the recipe. If you put in a little too much syrup and it's a little too sweet, it's really not. That's not the end of the world. That could be fixed, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to have to start figuring out how to fix that. Whether it means adding more ice to the drink or more gin, you don't want to do that. Then you're playing with fire when you start doing things like that. So we've got all the ingredients here except for the club soda. The club soda we're going to add at the end. You don't add carbonated beverages prior to shaking. just because it tends to get
I
very
would
fizzy.
emphasize that, like not in the same way you're talking, like really separate that.
Okay.
This is very important.
Okay, very important. Do never put carbonated beverages when you mix it because of all the gas buildup in there. When you shake it, it will become extra foamy and it'll impact the drink. And the appearance of what you're going to present to the guest is not right. And plus, with a carbonated beverage, once you add it to a drink, it mixes naturally with the drink. So you don't have to add it when you're mixing it. You could always top it. So if you're ever doing a simple drink like a rum and coke, you could just add them and eventually they're all going to play together. You don't have to mix a drink like that.
I knew a guy who shook a rum and coke and just exploded on it.
I had a drink on my menu at Rum Bar that called for Coca-Cola shaken in the drink, and it was a very challenging drink we had to make. I mean, but it was like a martini drink. It had cream. That's why we had to shake it, because it had cream and it had this carbonation.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like, when you make that drink, you're like holding it out here because you're gonna just get doused.
I don't want to rush you, but the YouTube can only take 12
Okay.
minutes. So you've
And
got
one
6
scoop,
more.
then say, everything you do, you say, I'm going to go into my ice bin.
All right,
Now,
so-
one of the things that people are doing, sometimes they dip the glass into the thing, tell them never
Okay.
to do that.
All right, and when you're putting ice in your glass, you never want to put the glass in, because if you break glass in your ice,
Yeah.
that's the end of your day.
In the book, we call it burning the ice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once you break glass in your ice, you have to burn the ice. Basically, you pour something red or blue in that ice bin, and if you have a bar back, the bar back knows to burn the ice, which means just dump hot water in there to drain it, and then you got to clean it all out. And this is a process that could take anywhere from 3 minutes to 15 minutes, depending on the staff you have around you. This is something you don't want, especially when you're in the weeds. And it happens. If it happens to you, okay. But any ways you could possibly avoid that, please take those precautions, like dipping your glass in there. So again, I'm shielding the ice, and that was a small scoop. So there we go, one full big scoop. Again, protecting it so that it doesn't get in front of anyone and get anyone sick or anything.
Very good. It's getting more fun, isn't it? I mean, the more you're doing it, the more you like
More comfortable. All right, and we're going to put the tin over the top, and we're going to smack it down. That way you get a nice tight fit. And again, we're putting the tin over the top, and then we're going to flip it because we want to shake it this way. So again, why are we holding it this way?
So it doesn't go over the guest.
Correct.
Love it.
And where are we going to shake it? What part of our body?
Over our shoulder.
Perfect.
Love it. Like how many times would you recommend?
And you want to shake it till you get a nice, till you start to see this, you can start to write on your tin.
Like when it's cold?
You're about ready.
Like 15 times.
Sounds about right. Yeah,
10
about 10 seconds
Yeah.
of shaking. It also depends on how hard you're shaking. If you've got two, and you're not a strong shaker, and you're just shaking one hand, and you're like, it might take a little longer if you're shaking like this. But if you're shaking like this, and the face that you make, by the way, is the face that when you're in bed and you're with your lady friend, that's the look on your face. So just remember that when you're having intercourse.
Oh, that's going to look good
I
on
love that.
All right, and then we always want to be
Now the
careful
strainer.
when we open it. So this drink, again, is getting served in a highball. So again, we're going to fill it up with ice. And you always want to fill to the top with ice. And again, if you're concerned that there's ice over the top, once you pour the liquid in, it's going to melt it a little bit. Plus, it's also going to just settle the ice, so it's no problem at all.
Good.
Gotta get used to that. And then, again, you're holding your finger over the strainer. That way it doesn't get loose. And you're going to pour it right in. Trying not to spill everywhere like I am doing. All right, and because this recipe calls for a little soda,
Right,
we don't want to fill it all the way
Right.
to the top.
right.
Yep. So this calls for a ½ ounce of club soda. So we're going to pull out the jigger. And there we go. This is an ingredient where if you put a little too much club soda in, that's not a big deal. Club soda is the least of your worries because you already have all that water in there. Really, this is just for carbonation and fizz. All right, and then this gets garnished with a flag
And
of
then say what a flag
orange and
is.
cherry. It's orange and cherry, right?
Right.
Okay. Orange and cherry garnish, just like the Mai Tai, same garnish.
Show them how you're doing this. because usually sometimes they can stick it in the middle, and you have to tell them to do it like,
Okay.
So
You always
what
want
is
to put your
that?
straw on the side of the glass, just so it doesn't disturb the rest of the drink.
right,
Because if you have garnishes, like what you saw how the ice shifted this and it
Yeah.
made it move, you don't want that to happen.
Right.
And also some drinks that have floats, where there's a proper separation. If you just dump your straw in there,
Right, it
you've
kills
ruined
it,
it.
yeah.
You went
Right.
for that effect and now it's lost. So just always right down the side, your garnish,
right.
serve. Okay, so now I have a couple questions for you. What was the alcohol I poured in that drink?
Gin.
Okay, what gin did I use?
Use Tanqueray.
And how much?
2 ounces.
Perfect. How much orange juice did I put in that drink?
2 ounces
No.
now?
No.
An ounce?
No. There's no orange juice in this drink.
Oh, I
Ah!
love that.
What's the juice that I used?
You used a lemon juice? Or-
Correct. Yep. And who makes the lemon
That's
juice?
perfect.
Not roses.
Correct. Good memory. It's fresh lemon juice. And then we also put a ½ ounce of.
Simple syrup.
Correct. And we topped it with a ½ ounce of.
Club soda.
Perfect. And what's our garnish?
A flag, which is an orange and a cherry.
All right. And there's your drink.
Okay, now we have a student action.